Hello and welcome to your Educator training. I wanted to start off today's session by introducing myself. My name is Heather Berry and I am a learning specialist at Florida Virtual School. I do work in the professional learning department, and I wanted to let you know that I also taught with Florida Virtual for 3 years. I taught 8th grade language arts, and it's my pleasure to be assisting and helping teachers. So welcome to that new position. I know you're going to do a great job of instructing our students. So in addition to today's educator training as well as VSA training, I wanted to invite you to the open office hours. You're going to see that the week of June 23rd, Donna Spooner and myself will be available in this open office. And the link to the open office is provided in the email that I sent out. Please notice the times on Monday and Wednesday are 10 to 2, and Tuesday and Thursday are 2 to 4. Besides all of that, we also gave each of you access to our new hire transformations course. Inside the email that I created, I did insert or attach a video that explains how to access the transformations course. So today, when I go to the course, please know I'll do a quick rundown again, but there's a more slower, detailed video that I included in my original email. Okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and go over the agenda for the educator training. Okay, so educator is the LMS that we use with our students here in the part-time program. It is your classroom. So I want to make sure each of you know how to correctly sign in and view the dashboard. We have a brand new dashboard, so if you haven't taught an educator in a while, this may be a new feature for you. We want to make sure you do go ahead and create your signature line, your announcement page as well. With that being said, we want to make sure that you know how to grade your students' assessments and what your feedback should look like. We will review what exempting and resetting assignments are for and how to do the procedures. Course keys. We want to make sure you know where to go to download your specific content course keys. We'll talk about the importance of setting up a global exam password for your final exams. And then I will end today's session by doing a brief overview of all the wonderful new features that Educator has released in the 2013-2014 school year. Okay? So signing into your course, there are a couple of options to do so. Option number 1 is actually clicking a link that is inside of VSA. So inside of VSA in the yellow bar, there's an LMS link. I will have to warn you, this does not work if you have your pop-up blockers enabled. So it will not work. You will have to go in and disable the pop-ups in order for it to work. So this is not always the number 1 choice for instructors to get into Educator. I would say option number 2 is the number 1 option. You just have to know the website. You can access your course on any computer as long as you know that it's learn.flvs.net. You are going to sign in with your unique username and password. We ask that you do not attempt to edit or change your password at this time. And last but not least, some of you might have a direct icon on your desktop that brings you to Educator. If you have that, that's always an option. Some of you may not, and that's okay too. So in just a couple of seconds, I am going to application share my screen and show you what this looks like in real time. But this is a new feature that Educator has released. It's called the Dashboard Quick View. I'm going to go over these features as well as this screen by application sharing. So here we go. Okay, so right now you all are seeing my Google Chrome web browser. I always begin with Staff Central, otherwise known as the intranet, because the teacher links are so accessible and so easy to me. I'm just going to click on Educator and log in. And now I am inside of my Educator course. This new feature is called the dashboard. It's a black bar that goes across your screen. Clicking from left to right, you'll see there are a couple of drop-down arrows. When you see those, make sure you click on them because there are hidden items below. So right off the bat, you can actually get into VSA by clicking right here, go back to Staff Central, check out a couple of blogs, look at our Facebook page for Educator, and Twitter and YouTube. So that's all right there, okay? Home, this is always brings you back to your home page, so that's what that's about. Right here, these three lines, let me explain that you have all of these tabs on the left-hand side, but in case you don't like using them, you can always just click this area and use all of these. These are exactly the same that you see on the left with one caveat. The only thing you don't see is this word dashboard, okay? Dashboard takes you to a special, unique dashboard for your course. So I went ahead and clicked on it, and this is what it looks like. It tells you how many items you have to grade, how many emails you have to read and reply to, how many discussion board threads or items you need to read, if you have any events scheduled for the day. So you can rearrange this by clicking and dragging, which is kind of neat. You can leave it the way it's set up, or you can move things around the way you want, okay? And then below, just a recap of things that have been going on in your class and your announcement page. So this is what the dashboard looks like. And again, I accessed that by clicking the three lines and covering over dashboard and clicking on it. Everything else are all the tabs that you would see on the left-hand side. So for example, if I were to go to assessments, then it brings me back to the format that you're most comfortable working in. Okay? Notice that it's telling me that I have 4 unread emails. If I click this, it's going to bring me right to the 4 unread emails that I do have. Okay? This is the courses that I have teaching ability in, TA Access. So if you have more than one course, they will appear here. So this is equivalent to clicking other courses, same thing. Students have that same capability in their course as well. And last but not least, on the right-hand side is how you can log off of your Educator course. So this is a brand new feature that Educator has released this school year. We hope you like it. There is a possibility that these blue tabs might go away and we would just keep this black bar, which would be fine because you have access to everything by clicking this right here. Okay? I'm going to come back to my PowerPoint. Throughout this presentation today, I will be transferring back and forth quite frequently. I also want to say at any time if I'm speaking too fast or you would like something repeated, this is why we send out a recording. Please feel free to pause, rewind, whatever your needs are, okay? On-demand training. On to our next topic. We want to talk about modifying contact information. It is important that you do update this area. So underneath course information, there's going to be a little arrow. You would click the arrow, and all of these categories would open up. You're going to click Modify Contact, and you're going to update the contact area. However, we do have specific directions. We only want you to update a couple of items. Number 1, your first and your last name. And of course, you can do the title. If you're like a Mr. or Miss or Mrs., you can change that as well. Number 2, your educator email address needs to be updated. If you are not familiar with what your educator email address is, it's very easy. It's actually your username, how you sign into Educator, and then you put at learn.flvs.net. At learn.flvs.net. Okay? We ask that you do not fill out the department, the phone number, or any other areas at this time. This is okay because your phone number and your contact information all appears on the announcement page. Okay? So this is just updating your name and your email is all we're asking for at this time. Once you've updated this area, you will scroll down and click continue. I am going to go ahead and application share now and just give you an example of this so you have a real-time understanding. So on the left-hand side, here's your drop-down arrow next to course information. And you're going to go all the way down to modify. Modify your contact. Again, we just want you to update your first and last name and your email address. Okay? We ask that it's your username at learn.flvs.net. Please do not put any information in any of these areas. Where the school is, I do want to go ahead and say, please put in learn.flvs.net. That's actually the URL. So let's just put that in for school. But everything else is the same. You do not update anything below whatsoever and just click continue. The computer tells you that it was submitted and they thank you. And then you can see that your information, your contact information is updated. Okay? So next, I'm going to go over how to create your email signature so that every time that you send out a brand new email, your signature will appear in the box automatically. So because it has to do with email, that's the tab we're going to select, and we're going to click the drop-down arrow. There's about 4 different ideas you can choose from. I want you to choose email preference. Email preferences. And then there's a signature box right here. This is where you'll put what you want to appear as your signature. Things like your name, the subject you teach, your phone number, and possibly maybe a favorite teaching quote. But that's about it. So it's just your signature that goes there. I am going to point out that if ever you go away on vacation, this is a new feature they've added recently. You can actually set up an out-of-office reply, which is really great, very similar to what you do in Outlook. Okay? And you would put your message down here, and that's how it would go. And you scroll down, and you click Update Your Preferences. You can make sure that your signature does work by clicking New Message, and in the box below, you should see your signature appear. That is how you verify that when you send a message, your signature will automatically appear. Now, this right here is a brand new feature we will be talking about later today in today's session. Okay? I'm going to come back to the PowerPoint presentation in the room and show you that what we just went over was creating our signature by clicking email, email preferences, and updating the outgoing message. Next, whenever you click a couple of tabs in your course, you're going to have the ability to see these blue little icons on your screen. These occur when you click on assessments, when you click on email, when you click on students. So if you click one of those 3, you should definitely see these little blue icons. The reason I'm talking about them is for these 2 right here. I wanted to point out that this one, if you were to click it, it would take you to our Educator Facebook page. It is here where they ask you to make suggestions for improvements to Educator. I will tell you they are listening to teachers, and every week new features are being released, and they all come directly from instructors. So please make your suggestions on the Facebook page. Now, with that being said, this one is super important. This one brings you directly to the Educator blog. This is something that you will need to check out on a weekly basis. I highly recommend that you make an appointment on your Outlook calendar to remind you that every week you need to check out the Educator blog. I am going to briefly application share and just show you how easy it is to access. So I told you if you click on assessments, email, or students, that would pop up. So you see how it's down here? Here's your Facebook page. Here's your Educator blog. When I click the Educator blog, a brand new window does pop up. And here is where you would start reading. I want you to start from today, and I want you to check it out every week. Every week there are new updates that you definitely need to check out. And I have to stress to you that they are not emailing teachers about these updates. It's actually an expectation that teachers are checking this out on their own. So if you want to be in the know and finding out about the most recent updates, you should check out the blog weekly. Okay? And you don't have to remember the blog because it's strictly right in your course. Very, very simple. I'm going to come back again to direct us to our next point on topic. The announcement page. Okay? So, guys, the announcement page is actually going to be set up one time and then you leave it alone. The only time it ever changes is if you want to change a picture or maybe your phone number were to change or your IL changes. But that's about it. So it's kind of like a set it and forget it. Now, I have to say that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I do believe lead teachers and content buddies are really helping new teachers set up these pages. What we have in the Transformations course is directions on how to create what you see here. This is what we call the bare bones or the skeleton of your announcement page. We're not going to do your photo. We are not going to do specific help resources. We're not going to do live lessons or tutoring information because that is unique to every individual teacher. The only thing that you really will adjust and edit has to do with the middle part right here. So it's where you're going to update your contact info and your IL info, and of course your name and the subject you teach. So I'm going to show you where in the course, the Transformations course, the directions are located, and then I will go over how to copy and paste the new code, the HTML code, into your actual Educator classroom. So for this, I do have to application share, and I'm going to share my entire desktop for a few minutes. I'm going to start back on Staff Central. Over to the right-hand side, we're going to go and log into FLVS University. You do have to insert the username and password. Please know if you don't know that username and password, we cannot look it up for you. You would have to submit a help ticket. You will go to your classes on the right-hand side, and you would scroll down and look for Transformations 2013. This is the course we created for all new hires. You are not expected or required to go through the entire course. We are giving you access so that you can use the VSA and the Educator tabs as a tool or a resource. So today we're talking about Educator. So when I select Educator, a brand new window appears. This has everything to do with your classroom. I do recommend you read through everything, but what we're specifically talking about right now is your announcement page. You will see step-by-step directions on how to edit your announcement page. I will say right here is very important. This is what you're going to look for. You're going to actually click on that and download it and open it up. And you are going to only change the highlighted in yellow areas. Anything that's highlighted in blue, you're not going to touch. So please be very careful when you are making edits to this document. If you delete one little extra character that's not highlighted, it will not work correctly. This is a code that has been written in HTML. So when you are ready, you would then copy the entire thing and you would go to your Educator classroom, your actual classroom. And you would select the Announcements tab because that is what you're working on. When you select announcements, you will see a box that allows you to edit your announcement. It is here where you'll paste that long code that we just copied. This is where the code goes. And then you make sure that for the format, you select this little circle that says HTML. When you're ready, click submit. And this is what it's going to look like. The only difference between my screen and your screen will be you'll have the subject, you'll have your name, you'll have your correct telephone numbers, and your IL information. I do want to point out that your email does need to be your educator email, which is at learn.flvs.net. Remember, it's your username that goes first. Now, I do have another caveat to say. If your lead teacher has already helped you and assisted you in creating your fancy announcement page, please don't do this step. Just don't do it, because I don't want you deleting all the hard work that your lead teacher has put in to already create your announcement page. Okay? Here are the directions again on how to edit your announcement page. Select edit, insert the code, choose HTML, and then click submit. Now we're going to talk about the guidelines and the expectations that your ILs have when you're grading your students' assessments. For many of you, this is just a quick review. However, there are a few that have never taught for Florida Virtual before. So we want to make sure that everybody is providing that same consistent, personalized, student-friendly feedback. So here are our guidelines. We always include the student's name, no matter what. You always address the student by name. Now, it's okay to put a greeting before it, like you can say, "Hi, Tommy," or "Greetings, Tommy," or "Hola, Tommy." That's fine, but you have to have the student's name. We always want you to acknowledge the effort that the student is putting forth. Celebrate even the smallest tiny of successes. We really want to build up their confidence so that they understand we appreciate their effort. We always encourage students to keep resubmitting work when needed. Of course, if they have a perfect score, then it would not be required. But if they did not earn a perfect score, you would then move on and provide specific instructions on how they can improve their score so that they can master the material and earn a perfect score. We always look to make sure that you did include your name at the end of the feedback. So please do include your name and always use spell check. Very, very important. You will notice down here it says on resubmissions, we want you to leave your old feedback and just add the new feedback on top. So as students do resubmit, please do leave your old feedback in the box. With that being said, here is a picture of what I'm actually talking about. Here is the box where you insert your comments. This was the first submission from Orlando. Mrs. Phillips gave great feedback, personalized and specific, encouraging. Orlando resubmitted. Mrs. Phillips gave more great quality feedback. And last but not least, the third time he mastered the material. Mrs. Phillips kept all three feedbacks in this box. Okay? So please make sure that you do keep the feedback. When grading a student in a discussion-based assessment, that's what we're going to talk about now, a DBA. In some of your courses, it might be called an oral assessment, but that is still the same thing. Basically, guys, it's just a friendly conversation that you are having with your students to make sure that it's the student who's actually submitting all that great work and that they are truly learning the material. We want to make sure, parents aren't doing the work or brothers and sisters aren't doing it for them. We want to make sure they're learning. So what we really recommend is that you're in front of your computer when you complete your DBAs so that you can open the student's gradebook and you can look at their grades and see if the way they're communicating with you matches the grades they earned. If they're an A student in your class, you're going to fully expect that they're able to answer all of the questions and do a really rock solid job. If they're a C student or a D student, you would fully expect that they're not going to know every answer and there's going to be some openness and choppiness. Then that's what we call consistency. That's what we're looking for in DBAs. We do recommend that in order to help the student be less stressed out or nervous, that you have a friendly conversation and maybe start off by talking about what their favorite assignment was, or maybe what assignment did they have the most difficulty with. Let them be comfortable. We do ask that at the end of a DBA, you do tell them what their grade is in the class. Talk about their pace. Make sure that the student is doing the majority of the conversation, talking the most. When you're done with a DBA, always ask for a parent to be put on the phone, because if you are able to speak to not only the student, but the parent, you are able to document that in VSA as a monthly call. Reschedule if necessary. We want to stress to you that if you hear noise in the background, if the student is just not prepared, if you feel the student is distracted, I think it's in your right to say, guess what? It's not a great time for you right now. Let's go ahead and reschedule this when there's no distractions in the background. And you can fully commit to this DBA because I really want to make sure that you're passing. So you're allowed to go ahead and stop a DBA and postpone. When you actually ask the student to turn that assignment in, we want to stress that as a teacher, you do have to keep your feedback consistent with the guidelines, where you state the student's name. Your feedback is personalized and specific about what you talked about, and you sign your name. So it's really no different than grading any other assignment. I just want to state that you do need to put what was talked about in the conversation. We ask that you also log it in VSA, and I would strictly just copy and paste your feedback when you log it. Okay? Remember, if you speak with the parent and the student, it's a monthly call. If you're only able to speak to the student, that is okay, but you cannot log it as a monthly call. It would rather be a phone call instead of a monthly call. I highly recommend that you ask lead teachers for ideas or suggestions for questions for DBAs. Maybe even ask if they can do a role play activity with you to see what they look and sound like. Feel free to reach out and ask them. That is what they're there for. The big picture. So within Educator, when you do go to the Students tab, you have the ability to open up a grade book for each individual student. This is an amazing tab. This is a tab that you will work in every day, and you will use one of the most often. So instead of just going over what you see here on this screen, I am going to application share and show you some examples. So over on the left-hand side, when I click Students, you would get a list of all the students in your class. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and choose Heather Berry as the student in my class. You click on the student's name, it brings up this individual gradebook for that student. So what do we see here? Well, let's start at the left and scroll down. It tells you that this is a student in your class. You can see what their username is. Now it will tell you how many weeks they've been active and what segment they are currently active in. Mine is blank because I am a fake student. I have not been activated. Tells you the date they last signed in. Tells you can click on all of this information that tells you the history of all the times they logged in, how many things they've done in the class, what assignments they have to still submit. It's all right here. The last assignment that's been turned in would be represented right here. You can email the student directly, by clicking on this link and an email box would open up. You do have the ability to enter the course as the student. However, I want to caution you against this because when you do click that, where it says login history, the computer assumes that is the student entering the course. There's no way for it to differentiate. So be aware that your login history is affected when you enter the course as that student. Now, you'll learn about forcing from your lead teachers and your content teachers, but this is right here where you have the ability to force students to see a certain slide when they enter your course. So clicking this brings you up a box where you can insert the information you need so that they are forcing them to see something specific. And this is for that individual student. Over here to the right is some more great information. Modify the student profile. I just want to click on that because I have received a few help tickets recently. If the student's name is not appearing correctly, you have the ability to edit the name and the email. Only do that if you realize it is not correct. And then you would click Recreate Profile, and it would be changed within Educator. It is not something you do very often, but I wanted to point out that that was there. This right here is amazing. It tells you exactly how far complete they are with this segment. Okay. You can see I've done 5 out of 42 assessments. I still have 37 more remaining. My grade in the class is a 92. Wonderful information right there at the click of a button. As you scroll down, you will have access to every single assignment in the course. Notice the blue. That means when you click on them, you are opening up that actual assignment for that student. Notice there's a filter. So you could say, I just want to look at assignments 2.04. There you go. Got to put the decimal in. Okay. So you're going to also notice colors. So as I scroll down, notice the colors. If it is green and it has a green check mark, the student submitted that and earned a passing grade. If it is blue with an exclamation point, that means the student has submitted this assignment in, but still needs to be graded by you, the teacher. If you see a red, which I don't think I have any red, that would indicate a failing grade. So that's also very helpful to teachers. Notice you can filter and say, how about assignments that, were greater than or less than 60%? That is a possibility. So you're just going to enter, and it will show you anything that was greater than a 60%. So you can see here, the student has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assignments greater than a 60%. And you can do it the other way around, less than 60%. So let me go ahead and reset my filter. When you click reset, it clears everything out. If ever you wanted to copy or download an Excel spreadsheet or a PDF of the student's gradebook, you do have the capability right here. Okay? And then just scrolling down to the bottom, at the very, very bottom, it's just a recap again of everything the student has done thus far in the course and what their current grade is. I highly recommend instead of using this area, you just stay focused at the very top, because the very top is what you're really going to look at when you talk to students for monthly calls and for DBA. Let me go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint to put us on track. So that's the big picture. The best way to learn, guys, is just to play around in the course. You'll learn a lot. Exempting assignments. Please know that you cannot just exempt any assignments that you feel the student doesn't need to do. There's only a couple reasons to exempt. Maybe a student is not completing the honors assignments. Your course has prescriptive learning where they take some pre-tests and then you are given permission to exempt assignments they have already mastered. Or this one is really not so pertinent anymore because of a recent update, but if a student doesn't want to see assignments in semester 1, you can exempt them because you're only taking semester 2. But like I said, there's a new feature now, so this one is really not as pertinent as the first two. So exempting assignments means they do not have to do them. So you're excusing the assignment for the student. The number one thing to remember is you need to document that you are doing this, and you put that in VSA as well. So for step 1, during the student's gradebook that I just had opened up previously, at the very top, there's an exemption link. When you click it, you're going to then check off what assignments you want to exempt and scroll down and write your reason. So the best thing to do is to show you for real. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So again, let's start from the beginning. If I click on students, I am going to get a list of students' names. So here we go. I'm going to click on the student I want to see. So I opened up Heather's gradebook. And I'm going to go ahead and choose Set Student Exemptions. This is what I was talking about. You can randomly choose which ones if you follow the guidelines I gave you. Or you can actually just click right here, Exempt Honors Assignments. When you click that, it automatically exempts all the honors assignments for you, which is really nice. The only thing you have to remember is to put your reason. Not an honor student, and submit. This way it's documented why the student did not have to do these assignments. You do need to exempt them because you are not allowed to finalize a student and give them a grade until they have a 100% complete. And they'll never be 100% complete if you don't exempt those assignments they don't have to do. So I'm going to click it again. Notice when I click this again, this will become unchecked. It's like resetting. Now, there is an option to exempt all of semester 1 right here. So anything in semester 1 is checked off. I can check it again, and they uncheck. Same with semester 2. I click it. I scroll down. They're all checked off. And I check it again, and they're unchecked. Notice you do have a filter option as well. So if I just wanted 105 and I wanted to exempt it, that's a fast way to do that as well. Okay, so again, play around, see how it works. It's not hard, it just takes a couple minutes to understand. Coming back to the main room, this is a great review again of how to exempt. Just remember this is all stemming from the student's gradebook. So that was exempting. Now we're going to take a few minutes and discuss resetting. Resetting means the student is going to have to take the assignment, the quiz, the exam again. You are basically erasing it or clearing it because the student wanted you to, and you're going to allow them to do it again. Okay? This is not required. This is just some of our courses do require you to learn how to reset. So these are great directions, but let me first show you, and then I will come back and review. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my class again. So for just a second, I'm going to log in as the student. So if you can remember how to log in as a student, this is a good reminder. I can click a couple of tabs. I can click assessments. I can click email. I can click students. What I'm looking for is this down here. I want to log in as a student because what I want to do is submit for you an assessment. So students, click on assessments, and I'm going to submit a quiz and hopefully do a really bad job on the quiz so that I can ask my teacher to reset it. So 203 is as you can see, it's a quiz. I'm going to open it up and take it real quick. So I'm going to just randomly Christmas tree my answers and hopefully do not so good. So I say I'm finished and I submit it. It's going to tell me my score. All right. It was worth 50 points. I earned a 20. Not so good. So as a student, I would call my teacher and I'd say, Mrs. Berry, I just earned a 20 out of 50. I was wondering if you could reset it so I could take it all over again. Well, Mrs. Berry would make sure the student is ready to take it again, and they would make sure they understand they don't have a choice. If Mrs. Berry resets it, they have to redo it. So now I'm going to log in as a teacher, and I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, I'll reset it for you, Heather. Here I go. So I'm going to click on Students. I'm going to go to Heather's Gradebook. And I'm going to go down to that quiz where I got a 20. Do you see how it's red? Remember I told you red means they got a failing grade. I'm going to click on it by opening it up. And I'm going to choose the words remove. Remove means reset. When I click on it, it's asking me one more time, permanently remove this? Yes, permanently. I erased it. It is gone. Now when I go to Heather's Gradebook, and I'll do that again, Heather's Gradebook, and I go to 203, it's like Heather never took the assignment. It was reset. That is how you reset a quiz, an exam, a test. You have to click remove, and then you have to click permanently. Coming back to the main room, there is an assessment that we want to show you as well. So this is a nice review. Remove and say yes, permanently remove. Now I want to talk about assignments that are not quizzes, are not tests, are not exams. It's assignments where the students can just type their feedback in, or they can upload attachments. So why would you ever reset it? The only time you ever reset an assignment is when there's nothing for you to grade. Sometimes they'll say things like, hey, Mrs. Berry, my work is attached, and you look around and you can't see it. So you want to reset it so that it goes back into their assessment window. So you can see you write a nice comment to the student, just like my guidelines I went over where you address the student by name, you are encouraging and supportive and acknowledging the effort, and then you sign your name. I would recommend you email them this so they know you are resetting the assignment. The key is if you want it to go back into their assessment area to redo, you cannot put a grade in the box. And again, you only do this when there's nothing to grade. If they did submit something and you're allowed to give them a few points, you can do that. This is only reset when there's nothing to grade. And you check off the reset submissions and you select submit. That way, this particular assignment would be put back into the student's assessment area. Resetting means they have to do it again from the assessment area. One thing to note, students can always resubmit assignments from the gradebook area. So the only reason we would ever reset an assignment is if there's nothing to grade at all. You can't even give them a 1. So you just don't put a grade in and you reset. Okay? So you just learned how to reset quizzes or exams, and then you learned why you would reset an assignment. It's only when there's nothing to grade. And all you have to do is check off reset. Moving along, we're going to talk about the importance of issuing a password for your final exam. In your course, you could have 1, 2, or maybe even 4 final exams. For every final exam, you need to set up a different password, okay? I'm going to application share and show you how to do this. So I'm in my course again. To find the exams, I am going to click the drop-down arrow next to assessments. I'm going to go down to the word exams. Now in my particular course, it's pretty easy. You can immediately tell that there's just 2 exams. However, I will tell you, if you teach classes like math or science, you're going to have a lot of exams. You do not have to set up passwords for all of them. You only are required to set up passwords for your segment exams. Can you set up passwords for the other ones? Yes. But what's required? The segment exam. So it's really easy to set up a password. You would go to where it says Actions, and you would hover and choose Modify. Now, before I click Modify, please note that I do already have a password. I have the word Apple, as you all can see. But I'm going to change it. So I'm going to click Modify. When you get to the screen, you just scroll down just a little, because you're looking for this right here. So let me move it up a little bit. Global Exam Password. Remember, I had Apple, but I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to change it to the word dog, D-O-G. Now that I changed it, I just have to save it. So I go down a little bit more, and I click Format Exam. Please notice, I'm not scrolling all the way down. I only scroll down a little bit, guys. So let me show you. Format Exam is right here, and where I put the word in is right there. So it's on the same screen. Okay? Format. Now I just made a new password for that exam. So if I were to refresh, I would go back to exams. I would hover over Actions, and everyone look what the password is. It's dog. I just changed it. Okay? Let's do that for semester 2. I have a final exam for semester 2. Right now the word is banana, but I want to change it. I went to Modify. I find Global Exam Password. I'm going to delete if anything's there, and I'm going to make it cat. And I'm going to click Format. It is recommended you change your passwords quarterly. If for any reason your passwords get out, like a student leaks it to other students, we actually want you to change it immediately. But about on average, once a quarter is fine. Also, make sure your passwords are easy for students to understand over the phone. They're easy to spell, they're one word, they're lowercase. So it's kind of the opposite of what you've been told passwords should be for your own computer. It's the opposite. I'm going to come back to the PowerPoint and make sure that you guys remember, if you have a final exam, you are required to set up a password. Downloading your course keys. Okay, this is a couple of step process to learn how to download your course keys. So I'm going to go ahead and app share and go through this process. Please know that this website is right here. It's train.flvs.net. And you might be wondering, well, what's the username and password? Well, the username is always the same. It's FLVS keys, but the password does change every quarter. So where are you going to find the password? Well, there is a link to it from our Transformations course. So I'm going to go through this process with you together. Okay, so first things first, let's type in the website, train.flvs.net. I just told you the username was FLVS keys, but I told you I didn't know what the password was, and that is correct. I told you it's from the Transformations course. Well, we're talking about Educator, right? So we have our Educator tab opened up, and we're going to go to the assessment area because an exam is an assessment. And we're going to go all the way down to this area right here. course answer keys. Everyone see that? It's very, very much near the bottom of the assessment area. Right here, it tells you what the website is. It tells you the username, but it says for the password, you have to click on this. So I'm going to show you all of that right now. I clicked on it. You're going to see two links. You're going to choose the one that's first. The second one is for global school. You guys are the part-time school. So we're going to click FLVS keys. When you do, it's going to open up, and you're going to get this image. You have to copy and paste this password in. So I'm going to simply teach you by copying. I'm going to minimize that. Come back to the course, paste in the password, and click log in. And it works. Please don't try to type it. Copy and paste it is the best way. When you get in, a couple more clicks. You're going to click lessons. And then you're going to click answer keys. Here you see answer keys for every single subject at Florida Virtual School and the franchises. If you are a middle school teacher, your answer keys are very much near the bottom, middle school, okay? So I was a middle school language arts teacher, so I would have went here and I would have went to MJ Language Arts 3, version 14, and I would download every single thing I see here. That's what you're going to do for your particular course. So, for example, if I had an English teacher, which is high school, let's say it's English 2, version 14. I'm going to click on it, and I would download every single one of these links into a folder on my desktop. These are my answer keys for everything for English 2, version 14. Now, you might be asking, how do you know what version you are? In your Educator course, underneath your username, you'll see your course name, the course version, and the ID number. That's how you can verify you have the right one. Okay? If for some reason your version and course ID is not on the course keys area, please reach out to your lead teacher for answer keys. Okay? So I just showed you how to download your course keys. Hope you found that helpful. We're going to finish up today by talking about some new features. Okay? Some of these I've already gone over. Like, for example, the student's gradebook, how you can filter. I've already gone over the colored highlighted rows. But I'm going to go ahead and go over just a few more things by opening up a student's a classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and application share again. So I'm going to go ahead and click students. This is a real shell, so I can give you some real examples. So a couple of things that are new. Well, this is a new feature. Now we can see right away who an honor student is. So if it's in red, that's a great new feature that was not there before, that you will use all the time. Okay? Next, you can filter. So if you know a student's name, like Dakota, you see how I started typing and they came right up. Now, another great new feature is if I click on the student's name, you can see that next to her name is a number. That's how many unread emails she has. You can see right now she doesn't have any. That's a great student. Let me go back and see if I can find one that does have unread email. Maybe Henry. Okay, Henry has 1. So if I click on the 1, it's going to show me exactly what his unread email is right here. Pretty cool. So you can see if they're reading their emails. Remember, if it's in red, that means they have failed that assignment. If it's in green, they passed. If it's blue, it's not graded yet. Okay? And then segments. This tells you what segments they're enrolled in. So, for example, this is a great new feature. You can see Shelley is enrolled in segment 2, right? Segment 2. So, she only now has access to segment 2. That is a brand new feature. But if you wanted her to have access to all of the assessments, you would click this, default to all assessments. And then she would see not only segment 2, but segment 1. Okay? So I would go back and I would say just to her current segment, and now she only has access to segment 2. Very nice new feature. Turn off row highlighting. I think that this is a great feature. I doubt you would want to turn it off, but there is a capability to do that as well.
Now I would like to move on and remind you how to force students. There is a brand new way where you can individually force a student through their student gradebook. You would click on the word students. You would find the name of the student and open up their individual gradebook. And at the top, where there's a brief summary of the student, there is now at the very bottom of the top area a forcing resource. So you can click on that and force just that student right away to see something. Notice there is a start date and a stop date, which is really helpful. So you don't have to worry about forgetting to go in here and remove the forcing slide. You can already set up the date that it would stop. So that is an awesome feature. For those of you that were used to forcing, you can still do it the old way by clicking on students and going down to the forcing area. That option is still available. It does look a little different, but it's still just as user-friendly with a start date and an expiration date for yourself, for your students. Okay? With that being said, I also want to talk about when you're grading, you're going to see a brand new feature. So as you know, when you're going to grade, you click on assessments. You can see I have one assignment to grade right here. Before I click on it, I just want to point out that what I'm going to talk about also shows up here as well. It's called a feedback snippet. Basically, you can create custom feedback that you can just insert with the click of a button. You'll see when I click on it right now, I've already created 3 types. These are common feedback comments that I always have to type in. So instead of having to type it over and over, we thought, why not create an automatic feedback snippet? So you can see I have one for no attachment. So it's, thanks for submitting the assignment. I didn't see anything attached. Please check the assignment and resubmit. Okay? I can't wait to grade your work. Reach out if you need help. You sign your name. So there is that one. There's an exemption one that I created, meaning if they're not an honor student, I can just quickly insert a feedback snippet for that. And then, or if I'm exempting an assignment based on like a prescriptive test. So assignment exempt per curriculum due to the standards being met by another assignment within the course. So those are the 3 I've created. So now notice I can add more. I'm going to go back now to the assessment area and click on an assignment that I have to grade that came into my inbox. So here's my inbox, and here is where my instructor comment area is. Notice that as soon as I put my cursor here, the feedback area came up. So if I wanted to, I could insert selected feedback right here. So I could find it, like say I want to do the no attachment, and insert it right in there, and voila. It comes right away. So it's going to save you time. We don't recommend that you have a very long list because it won't save you time in the end because you'll be searching. But the ones you do most often, this is a great feature. So this is called your feedback snippet. And please know that this should automatically appear when you start to type your comments in the instructor comment area. Okay. With all of that being said, I wanted to finish up by going over some important features inside of the Educator blog. I stressed it earlier in today's recording how important it would be for you to continually, on a weekly basis, check out the Educator blog. Here are 2 reasons why, okay? So number 1, if you have a course where there's a lot of exams, we had a teacher suggestion that said, when grading an assignment with multiple essay questions, is there a way for the total points of the essays to be automatically tabulated as you are grading? Okay, instead of having the teacher have to scroll through and add them all and calculate the grade, wouldn't it be nice if the computer did it for you? So you'll see now they agreed with her suggestion, the teacher's suggestion, and when you are grading essays, it's going to tell you how many ungraded essays you have remaining, the current grade, and then all you have to do is click the next ungraded essay, and it would take you down to the next one. So then you'll see there's 4 ungraded essays remain, and now the grade is this. It's going to tabulate all the essay points as you go. Okay, so next ungraded assignment, and then it would say 3 ungraded, and continue. Great new feature. We want you to check that out in the blog as well. And I wanted to point out one more new feature that I think is really great. So you've all been there. You've all heard students call and say, as they were taking their exam, they either got bumped out, the electricity went off, the internet froze, something happened. And they ask you, do I have to take the whole test again, or can you just unlock it for me? Well, the good news is they have set up a new feature where, yes, you can remove the entire record, and that's the entire history of the exam. But if the student was more than halfway done and you think, wow, let's just unlock it for them, you can click unlock the exam record, okay? And you're going to get this note. The student has attempted this exam, but they never submitted it in. So then you have to decide, do you want to continue to unlock it, or do you want to submit it? So you can see right here, you can choose to unlock the submission, or you have, if you click OK at the bottom, then you are actually submitting it for them. So it's either unlock or submit. And just notice that you can put in how many more minutes you want to give them. If your test is untimed, then you don't have to put any minutes in. Leave it blank. So leave it blank for full exam duration. Okay? If it's a time test and they already spent, say, 25 minutes in the test, and you can give them 30, give them 5 more minutes. So it's a great new feature that we really believe you would love. So with that being said, let's talk about things we've already covered. In the student's gradebook, again, we talked about the filter options, the highlighted rows and what they mean, how you can set students to see just the current semester or segment that they're active in, the new way to force individual students, just went over how to unlock exams if they get timed out or the electricity froze, the internet froze. Students who have not been reading their emails, you can check on that very quickly by going to their gradebook and clicking on that number. It now tells you if they're an honor student or not in Educator, which is very helpful. Please know that if you want to change that, the changes must be made through VSA under enrollment. Ungraded essays, as you're grading the student's work, there's a button you can click. And last but not least, inserting feedback snippets. For when you have quick little remarks that you type over and over, you can insert them at the click of a button. As mentioned before, the updates are fast and furious. They're coming in quick, so please do check your Educator blog every week. I appreciate your participation and your attention during this training. As always, the Professional Learning Department is there for you. Please email, link, or call us at any time. We're here for you. And good luck with working with those students. Just remember, they should be at the center of every decision you make. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great one. Bye-bye.